So we're here with Vikram Pawah, President BMW India. BMW has had its best ever month, which was June, its best quarter, which is the second quarter of 2023, and the best ever half year in its history, over the last decade. So fantastic 6 months. So what were your sales like, Vikram?
So just in cars, we sold just over 5,800 cars between our two brands of BMW and Mini. I think really fantastic result. As you noted down, that it was the best ever half-yearly sales that we ever had in our history. So could have been even better actually, because first 4 months were actually restricted with supplies. At the end of the year we had some issues with the supply. So, but from May onwards, these supplies are getting resumed. And if I look at May and June combined sales compared to last year, then we're growing by 32%. So
wow,
that's the kind of demand we are looking at, which is fantastic. And in our motorcycle segment, we just sold over 4,800 bikes, which is a growth of 50% in the first half of 2023.
So between cars and bikes, but you also must have a significant backlog of orders, right?
Yes.
I mean, I'm hearing that from every luxury brand.
Yes, it is. I mean, so our total order intake for the first half was over 8,000 cars. And now at the end of June 2023, we have a backlog of almost 2,500 cars and 1,500 bikes, which we are ramping up our production, so we should be able to supply it during the next quarter.
And you told me earlier that 21% of our sales are online. So these are customers who just go to the BMW.in site and choose and configure their car.
They choose, they configure, they put their deposit for the order booking. So the order booking amount, they do that, and of course, it's not a virtual world that you buy a car and you still buy it in a physical world. But at least your purchase decision is done online. You've deposited the money to the dealer seamlessly, and then the dealer contacts you for all the other formalities.
So you just do it over any EFT or UPI, whatever.
Yep. You can do it through UPI, you can do it through credit card, you can do it through net banking, anything that suits you.
Are these mainly people who are buying their second or third BMW because they're comfortable with the brand?
Well, I think yeah, we do have a lot of repeat purchases from BMW, but not only that, because what we do is when we launch some new models or new editions, we keep it online exclusive only. And I think people want to get first in, right? Because then we are able to do a fair allocation. We're going to make sure that they are able to get the cars in the priority that they booked. So I think people prefer that transparency actually. So that's
BMW India has one of the most extensive lineup of electric vehicles, starting with the Mini SE all the way up to the i7 and XM.
Yeah, that's correct.
You are also the market leader in the luxury segment electric vehicles.
Yes,
why do you think that is so? And give us an idea of how electric is.
I think we clearly made a strategy in 2022 that we will introduce EVs into India. I think because it was very clear to us that India will adopt to EVs much quicker than the rest of the world, because we know that the driving distances are not big, especially for our customers, right? We spend a lot of time on the road, but actually we drive on an average 45 kilometers a day, right? We provide a charging station, a home charging station or office charging station with every car that we sell in EV sector. So that makes it easier for our customers not to rely on public charging, but on their private charging. I think that's what has really given us a lot of growth in this area. So if I look at it, we sold over 500 EVs in the first half. Okay, we have 50% market share in the premium segment, right? We have grown by 46%. Even if I compare the whole year of 2022 and the first half of 2023, we sold 46% more cars in the EV segment. And you're right, you pointed out correctly that we have the widest choice of EVs in India, irrespective of premium or non-premium, because we have clear 4 different formats. You have the Mini hatch, we have the i4 mid-size sedan, we have the iX, which is a perfect SUV for Indian roads, and then the i7, which is a limousine. And our best-selling EV happens to be the iX. That's right. I'm really proud. And iX alone outsells or sells more than every other premium EV in the country combined.
So Vikram, given your success with EVs now, do you believe BMW plant Chennai could start assembling EVs sooner rather than later?
So I think it's got to do with the volume threshold. So as soon as we cross the volume threshold, absolutely we will be adopting local production for EVs as well. And also this technology is evolving. So there are 2 things. It is not as simple as an engine, right? Because for BMW, we're already working on Gen 6 technology now of batteries. So we need to find that sweet spot. What is the right time to bring it in for localization? But of course, yes, we will. We have always committed that any main selling model we will produce in India. I mean, currently also 95% of what we sell in India is locally produced, and we'll continue that path. Electric space, and I think the mini hatch that we already have is doing very well right now in India as well. It's the third best-selling mini in the country. So it's contributing to 14% of mini sales now, which is substantial given that it's been in the market only for just about a year. So you can see the popularity of electric and mini. I think mini, we always know that it's a trendy brand. People adopt to early trends much quicker in this space, and then electric is the right sustainable way for a mini.
Can you give us an idea of Motorrad right now? Let's talk motorcycles. You are the
leaders in the premium space. Absolutely.
Leaders in the premium space, definitely leaders in the premium space, but there is this growing competition in the middleweight segment all of a sudden. You're also big leaders in the premium middleweights.
We are, absolutely. I think we created that market, if I'm not wrong, in 2018 when we introduced the 310R and the 310GS in collaboration with our partner TVS, right? And then added another model last year in 2022, which is the 310RR. I mean, that's been an absolute success, these three models. We created the market from almost zero to now 90% of our sales is actually these models, three models. So I think I'm really happy that we charted the way, created the market, and now as a leader, happy that followers are getting into the market, which is really good. That means it expands the market even further. And I think in our bikes, we provide so many different formats, not just one. Right? You have the adventure sports, you have the sports, you have the off-roading, we have the classic, we have the the scramblers. Every concept that you can think of, the option is available from our side.
India has recovered very, very well from COVID.
Yes.
Clearly, demand for premium vehicles has gone up. Why do you think the Indian market recovered so smartly? For you to have had your best month, best quarter, best half year, it means the market recovered smartly. Did you expect this at the end of COVID?
Well, so I think first we need to put things in context. Even though we are recovering very fast, we are having record sales, but overall as a contextual thing, Indian market is still way smaller than the rest of the world. Because if you look at it from a total industry volume perspective, the premium cars are still about 1% at best, right? But the other markets are 5%, 8% in the neighboring countries.
So in China is what?
Well, I'm talking about even Thailand and Malaysia. As if you look at it, which is comparable, you're looking at 5 to 8% penetration levels of premium compared to the total industry volumes. So first, we are lagging behind in that. So I think there's a long way for us to go there. And I think that's the right way for India to head as well, because what we have seen post-COVID, one is the change in consumer behavior. Whether you call it YOLO or whatever you call, that's going through in our heads at the moment, that we want to spend on ourselves now. I think that realization is very clear, that people want to spend on themselves. People want to enjoy, these joys of life, as we call it. And I think car is always a joy, right? That's the first thing you talk about is, if you want to have, when you're growing up, I'm sure, all of us when we were kids, the first thing you always thought about the cars that you'll buy. So I think it's coming back from that perspective, that it is much more higher in the priority order now. That's one, after COVID. But I think there's some structural changes happening as well. The infrastructure development, I think that is helping a lot. The kind of highways we are talking about, let's say Mumbai-Delhi Expressway that we talk about, if you're driving at a speed of 120 kilometers an hour, which is the speed limit in that highway, of course you will choose a better car, a premium car. Also the economic development, I think, if you look at India compared to the rest of the world, much, much better, right? We are not suffering from, the fear of recession, the fear of overinflation. Of course, there are certain pain points, no doubt about it, but relatively better than the rest of the world. And the local consumption is strong. And that helps in people having better disposable incomes right now. So I think that helps as well. And then the fourth factor is driven by us. The kind of models that we are providing now is giving a rational reason for people to adopt. Because I can give you an example of X1. When we launched the X1, earlier this year, it was February this year, we launched it. The delivery started in April. The X1 demand for us, which is the entry-level SUV, X1 level demand for us is almost 1.5 times from the previous generation.
Because
bigger, more spacious, more road presence, more technology. And what does that translate into? 76% of people who are buying this car are actually upgrading from mass or near premium. So they're the first time into premium.
Once you've moved, or
it's now 20% of our sales already in the first 6 months. It's 20% of our total volume already. X1, 7 Series, i7,
So both
X7,
ends.
both ends are firing up.
So both ends. So the X1, which is sub 50 lakhs. Okay.
And over 1.5 crores, both ends are actually firing up, which is amazing, So that's why I say it is not a single dimensional growth. If I look at it, where my sales come from, 20% come from X1, 20% come from 3 Grand Limousine, which is a perfect family sedan, in that midsize, and 20% comes from what we call as the luxury class, which includes the 7, i7, X7, and XM. So 60% is from these 3 formats, and I think once we launch this X5 today, you'll see another 20% coming from this as well.
When can consumers see the new 5 Series?
We'll let you know when we are ready to launch it, but not this year.
Not this year. But of course, even the 7 took a few months to come from its global launch.
Of course it does.
But you've obviously seen, give me an idea, when people are buying cars in that segment, between the 7 and the i7, are they choosing the electric over the...
Yes. So we have
ICE?
equal demand for the electric, equal to the petrol version of 7 Series.
The 750
7 is
LA.
740 Li,
740,
740i we call it now. There's not Li.
There's no L, there's all L.
They're all long wheelbase versions now in 7 Series. That's what we decided globally, that we'll switch to one format. The 740i and also the M60. The IM60, i7 M60 is also equivalently selling. So there's a right demand, a balanced demand between the two. Same thing with iX as well. iX, like I spoke about, is a perfect solution for Indian roads and Indian consumers, right? We see the demand almost 50% of what we used to sell X5.
So will you see the new X5? Of course, it'll have demand from buyers, but the iX is still...
I think it'll still continue. I think we're talking expansion of markets here, actually.
Okay.
So even let's put it the 7 and i7 or the X7, the way we are selling that luxury class, I'm sure our competition continues to sell what they used to sell. So we're actually expanding the entire pie now, both at the bottom end and the top end as well, which is fantastic.
I don't know if it's YOLO. I just think there's more confidence in consumers as well. I mean, they know
there is. I think in India, as we call it, it's going to be the decade of India or the century of India, right? I think that is manifested into the confidence as well, very clearly.
So good. Looking forward to seeing the new X5 and all the other new cars that come later this year. Thank you so much, Vikram. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kushan. Lovely talking to you. Thank you.